The Giants are running New York like the Times as Danny is dropping all sorts of dimes. Saquon's thighs are ruining defenses' lives and Leonard Williams making opposing QBs feel him. Receivers think it's scary to line up across James Bradbury, and the Giants have a bright future led by Coach Judge, Jury, and Executioner. Tune in to Drawing About the G-Men every Wednesday at 6, live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch.
Do you have a 401k and some savings for future retirement, but you don't even know if it's enough to live off of? How much is enough? And how often do you think about it? The team at JPEX Financial Group can help set your mind at ease. We specialize in creating strategies, doing the planning and managing of your financial, educational, and investment needs. We help clients pursue their investment goals with sound financial strategies. You deserve a personal, tailored plan. Lasting, meaningful, and open relationships are the foundation of our practice. You've worked hard for your money and should feel confident with your investment choices as you make decisions for your financial future. Your goals are our goals. We are dedicated to your needs and hopes for your future. Visit our website or give us a call at 860-430-5397.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach in college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3. He's done his part.
Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees are even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Welcome to Sports Talk with R&J. I am Steve Risser, along here with Justin D'Onofrio, and Thanksgiving is tomorrow, so we know what team we got to talk about and we got to open the show with. We never open the show with this team, but with Thanksgiving being tomorrow, and we all know what team opens up Thanksgiving, and that's the Detroit Lions, and they play an NFC North matchup tomorrow against the Chicago Bears. Obviously, the Lions haven't won a game. The Bears, they're sitting at 3-7, losing 5 in a row. Both these teams are desperate for a win. It's going to be Andy Dalton starting instead of Justin Fields, and Matt Nagy is this close to being fired by the Chicago Bears. Obviously, if he loses on Friday, if he loses tomorrow, he's probably going to be fired. I would say even before Friday. I think the Bears might even fire him on Thanksgiving. That's how desperate they are to fire Matt Nagy. And for the Lions, we don't know if Jared Goff's going to start. It's either going to be Jared Goff or Connecticut's own Tim Boyle, who obviously we all know. Justin knows very well here in Connecticut. He was the starter at UConn, but before that, he won 3 straight state championships at Xavier. Starter at UConn. I think he went to Western Kentucky, and then I think he was Eastern Kentucky, and then he was undrafted by the Green Bay Packers, and then obviously he started last week and was absolutely terrible for the Lions last week against the Browns. Probably one of the worst games of the NFL season last week when they played. But for this game, I think it's going to be, even though Goff has practiced this week, I think it's still going to be Tim Boyle. I think this is going to be a very, very ugly game between these two teams. Andy Dalton, I think, is not. I think he's going to do okay, but I think he's going to struggle. I think Tim Boyle is going to struggle too. I think this is a really, really low scoring game, and it's so tough to pick one of these two teams because both of them have been absolutely terrible over the last month. But I'm going to go with the Bears. We'll see if that might not even save Matt Nagy's job. Matt Nagy might even get fired. Even if the Bears win, but I'm going with the Bears to win this game 16-10. But Justin, I know I'm throwing a curve here because I think the Nagy question I gave you was kind of obvious because obviously if they lose, he's going to get fired. But is Dan Campbell going to lead the Lions to their first win?
If Jared Goff plays, I believe they do get this one because I don't know what Bears team's going to show up. If it does come down to Nagy, do they fight for Nagy's job? I can't really see that right now. So coming off a short week, Lions had another tough loss. They played hard. But, I think this is really the Lions' them and probably the Vikings at home are the only two other chances they have. So this is the big one. So I think if Jared Goff plays, I think DeAndre Swift has a big game on the ground, and I think they knock him off. If Tim Boyle does play, then I just don't see how the Lions move the ball. Even if the Bears really are not that motivated, I still can't see it. I do believe, too, Tim Boyle led Eastern Kentucky to a playoff appearance at the FCS level, I believe, his senior year. So,
and that was probably one of the reasons why he got into the NFL, because his play at UConn did not get him into the NFL. That's pretty obvious.
No, well, he did not have the greatest offensive coaching staff, and Bob Diaco had no idea how to coach an offense. So I don't blame him. All that, I think he was in the worst off position possible. But yeah, if the Lions have Jared Goff, I do think they win this game. If not, I got to go with the Bears, even though they're bad. But hopefully UConn bad will win today. They play at noon tomorrow, so I won't have to watch much of this because I do not want to watch this game. It's going to be horrible.
And we'll get to UConn basketball later in the show. But enough with this game. We got to get to the game that Xander wants us to talk about. And we see Xander's comment. You know who else plays on Thanksgiving. I'm very well aware of who else plays on Thanksgiving. And the Dallas Cowboys host the Las Vegas Raiders. Raiders coming in losing 3 in a row. Cowboys coming in losing 2 out of 3. I think we all know America is only watching one game on Thanksgiving. I don't have to. We get it, Xander. Yes. This game obviously gets the highest ratings because, people are cooking during the – usually most people are cooking during the Lions game, and most people are asleep during the late game no matter who plays in it. So, yeah, but for this game, there is a chance – correct me if I'm wrong, Xander – that Tyron Smith is going to come back. And I do think if he does come back, it's going to make a difference. But I think the biggest reason why the Cowboys win this game is because of the running game. The Raiders are not good stopping the run. We saw 2 weeks ago that the Giants, Devontae Booker, ran all over the Raiders' defense. I think Ezekiel Elliott's going to run all over that defense as well. I do think Derek Carr is going to make plays. I think Darren Waller's going to have another good game. I think Renfro is going to have a good game. I expect Derek Carr to put up some yards and some points in this game. But at the end of the day, I'm going to go with the team with the better quarterback. I'm going to go with the team with the better roster. And I think the Cowboys bounce back this week. They're a better football team than the Raiders. If the Cowboys want to be a Super Bowl contender, they got to win a game like this. That's why I got the, and here's another one. I'm praying the Raiders don't ruin my Thanksgiving the way Colt McCoy did. Yeah, that's a good point there. That's a good point there. That was I think that might have been last year with Colt McCoy. Was it? No, Colt McCoy was on the Giants last year. A few years back. I don't know. Yeah. It might have been 2 years ago.
2 years ago? Yeah, because he was in Washington.
He was in Washington.
Yeah, because it was right after Alex Smith broke his leg. I think it was like the week or two after that.
No, I'm not sure when Colt McCoy. I think the Cowboys might have even won that game that Colt McCoy started. I think they won that game in 2018 that Colt McCoy started. But Colt McCoy played well in that game, so I get what Xander's saying there. But yeah, I as much as I want the Raiders to win the game, I don't think they're going to ruin your Thanksgiving, Xander. I got the Cowboys winning. I got the Cowboys winning it 27-20. But the big question is, Justin, can this Raiders pass rush get pressure on Dak Prescott for them to snap their 3-game losing streak?
If Tyron Smith is not available, then I think it's very possible. What I've read, it sounds like he's gonna play. What I've read so far, because last week they missed him a lot. Dak really had no time to do anything at all. They really showed offensively last week. If he does play, I think Dallas is going to be able to run the football offensively. They do whatever they want. I don't know where this Raiders team's at right now. And I think Dallas bounces back. I think Pollard and Ezekiel had big days. Even if they don't have Lamb or Cooper tomorrow, the Cowboys, I still think they run the ball. So, okay, CD's definitely out now.
Oh, yeah, CD's out. And Amari's going to be out, too. CD will be out because of the concussion. He's not going to come back in 5 days for that. And Amari's obviously going to be out, too. So, yeah, you got CD and Cooper out, which definitely, could play a factor. But I just think the Cowboys' running game is going to be too much. I think that's going to be the difference in this game. But I definitely can see the Raiders winning it. If the Cowboys don't run the football well, I could see the Raiders winning it because then they could pin their ears back with Ndakwe with Crosby and get pressure on Dak, and that definitely could affect this game. So I could see the Raiders winning. I just think the running game of the Cowboys is going to be too much.
Yeah, I could see that too. Yeah, I just don't see him being able to stop the run. Joe Mixon had a big game last week. I see the Cowboys kind of controlling the ball, keeping Derek Carr off the field, keeping that defense off the field. And I think the Cowboys kind of win this game with the running game. I think Elliott and Pollard kind of do whatever they want right now against that Raiders defense.
Absolutely. So it should be interesting, But for me with the Cowboys, I still have them as that 5th best team in the NFC. I promised Xander last week that I might change my opinion, but with last week's loss, I can't change my opinion. I would have last week changed my opinion, but I can't change my opinion with the Cowboys now.
Yeah, their defense played pretty well last week with Mahomes. Offensively, they really missed Tyron Smith on that off the line. They just really had no idea. They really couldn't get any offense going last week. Dak was kind of running for his life.
Garrett out here. We'll get to that, Santa. Gander out here. I wouldn't be shocked if that happened because Jason Garrett and Jerry Jones, they're close. They gave Garrett way too much. They kept Garrett way too long as Cowboys head coach. But I wouldn't be shocked, but I can't see that happening. But we'll get to Jason Garrett later.
I can't either. I don't think there's ever been I think the one example is Nebraska basketball. I think Fred Hoiberg hired. I don't remember if you know the old coach Doc Sadler. He hired him as an assistant, and he was fired from Nebraska. It was probably a different AD, but still, like, he actually went back to Nebraska after they still fired him. It's, been about 8-9 years, but, like, I can't recall another coach going back to his former team to, like, be an assistant coach after they fire. That seems weird. That would be a very weird thing.
No, I see Xander's comment. Jerry and Garrett are Eskimo brothers. I see Xander's comment there. But yeah, I mean, I don't see that happening. And obviously this week for the Cowboys, if they want to keep pace, to me, this is it. If they want to be a Super Bowl contender, I feel like this is a game they got to win. You got a Raiders team that's lost 3 in a row, has not played well. You're at home on Thanksgiving. I think this is a game you got to win if you want to be a Super Bowl contender if you're the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, absolutely. You're playing a Raiders team right now that's reeling. Short week at home. It's a Raiders team that's still trying to figure some things out. I thought last week in the fourth quarter, they finally started to throw some deep balls and it worked, but it was just too little too late. So the Raiders come out with a different game plan. They kind of want to attack deep. I still think, obviously still the impact of Ruggs because he was really starting to play well before the incident. But yeah, like this is a team you got to beat right now because they're not playing well. They really have not been good on both sides of the ball right now. They just big spots too. They just, kind of shoot themselves in the foot like the Raiders have the last 15, 20 years. So yeah, this is a game that Dallas needs to win. They can't afford to kind of lose this one if they want to be a Super Bowl contender.
Absolutely. So we'll get to the nightcap, and that's the Bills traveling down to New Orleans to face the Saints. These are two struggling football teams right now. And here comes Jaron. You can lose to the Chiefs and still be a Super Bowl contender, but if Dallas loses to this Raiders team, they're evidently not. Absolutely. I completely agree with Jared with that statement.
Yeah, absolutely. You're 7-4. You lose a home game in the Raiders that just have not played well the last few weeks, pretty much the last month. So, yeah, this is a game where if you do struggle in this game, you're in a lot of trouble. And, you're still going to win this division. You're still going to be a playoff team. But, yeah, you're not going to be top half of the teams in the NFC.
Absolutely. So let's get to this game in New Orleans between the Bills and the Saints. Two struggling teams right now, but I got to go with the team that's more healthy with the Bills because the Saints. You look at the Saints' injuries. I mean, they did score a little bit on the Eagles. They made that game in the fourth quarter a little. They were getting blown out, and then they came back a little bit against the Eagles. But you got to look at the Saints team. They're probably not going to have Alvin Kamara. They're probably not going to have their two tackles with Tyron Armstead and Ryan Ramczyk. They're probably not going to have their two tackles. So I think Buffalo's going to get pressure on Trevor Siemian. I think they're going to have trouble running the football. I think Buffalo's defense is going to control this game. The problem is Buffalo can't control a game on the ground. So this might be a game where there's a lot of 3-and-outs because neither team is going to be able to run the football. But obviously, I'm going to take the better quarterback here. I think Josh Allen makes enough plays. I think Buffalo's defense forces a turnover. I think Buffalo's defense forces a turnover, gives their offense a short field, so they score that way. That's why I got Buffalo winning this game. I got them winning it by 2 scores. I got Buffalo. I think their defense has a bounce back week this week. I think they hold the Saints under 10 points. I got Buffalo beating the Saints 24-9 in New Orleans on Thanksgiving night. But Justin, can this Saints defense help them snap their losing streak?
I don't think so. I got the Bills 27-17. I think the Bills do what Jalen Hurts and the Eagles did last week. I think Josh Allen has a ton of rushing yards. They could not stop Jalen Hurts. And that was the one thing the Saints relied on was up front in the defensive line to be able to stop the run. And they could not do that last week. Jalen Hurts and the Eagles just ran all over them. They put up 40 points on them. I don't think the Bills put up 40 this week because I think right now there's a lot of problems right now with their offense. But I think they scored 27. I think Josh Allen has a big game with his legs. He may, and with how bad the secondary the Saints have played, they've really showed. I think they make some big plays offensively, the Bills, to Diggs. So I think the Saints are really going to struggle with just how banged up they are, and I think short week. I can't really see that. I love Sean Payton as a coach. I think he's one of the best, but I don't know how he rallies his team right now, and I don't know how they're going to beat the Bills Thursday night. It's a tough one.
Very difficult situation for Sean Payton. Obviously, he's been playing. Might have to play without Alvin Kamara. He got to play without the 2 tackles. He just has had guys banged up all year. And you saw what the Saints team lost in the offseason. They lost so many of those secondary pieces. I mean, on offense, they lost Emmanuel Sanders. I mean, and then you look at they lost Jared Cook and Emmanuel Sanders. On defense, they lose Trey Hendrickson, who's had a pretty good year for the Bengals. So they lost a lot of secondary pieces on this team because they had one of the top rosters in the league last year, but now their roster's not as good now. And now with the injuries, their roster isn't even close to as good as it was last year. So, and they don't have as good of a quarter. They don't even have, and Breeze, even though he wasn't great last year, is much better than Trevor Siemian. So it's just very hard for Sean Payton right now with the roster he has. That's why I think the Bills win it by a couple scores.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a tough spot for Sean Payton right now. I know the Bills are kind of reeling right now. They got their doors blown off them to Indianapolis last week, but it's still a better situation right now for the Bills than the Saints. They're just so many injuries. Guys, they couldn't re-sign because they were pretty much they really had no cap at all. I know still have a ton of room this year, but the last offseason was tough to sign guys. So yeah, it's kind of roster that's depleted a bit here, and knowing Sean Payton, I think they'll build it back up, but it's not going to get any better. The rest of this year, maybe not even next year. I don't know what their cap situation is this offseason, but it could be kind of a show next year. Even though Jameis wasn't horrible, Jameis actually played all right before he got hurt. So maybe with him back next year, they'll be able to hang around in the NFCs. But yeah, it's unfortunate right now. The Saints are really struggling right now.
All righty, so we got to get to the Sunday slate. We got to get to the big game in the AFC on Sunday, and that's between the Titans and Patriots. Titans had a miserable week last week. Ryan Tannehill threw 4 picks against the Houston Texans, and the Patriots are rolling. Their defense has played outstanding. I mean, they shut out the Falcons. They held the Browns to 7 points. They held the Panthers to 6 points. I mean, their defense has played outstanding. They confused Justin Herbert. They picked off Herbert a couple times. So this defense has played well. Mac Jones has not turned the ball over. He's managed the game and played well. He had great games against the Browns and the Jets in this winning streak. So this should be a really, really close competitive game. But I'm looking at it this way. Mike Vrabel has had his way with the New England Patriots. He has had his way with Bill Belichick since he's been the head coach. 2018, holds them to 10 points, beats them 34-10 at home. We all remember that playoff game, Tom Brady's last game, beats them 20-13. He's held the Patriots to under 14 points both times. I think their defense is the reason why they pull this upset. I think their defense forces a turnover for Mac Jones. I don't think the Titans do a ton offensively in this game, but it's very similar to that playoff game 2 years ago. I think their defense carries them in this game. I think they force a turnover. As I said, they force a turnover for Mac Jones. I think Tannehill manages the game. I think this is a close competitive game, but I know there's a lot of talk about the Patriots being the best team in the AFC. I'm not buying it. And a big reason is because their lack of skill guys in the passing game and Mac Jones' lack of mobility, because I think he'll be under pressure this game too. I think Harold Landry and Jeffrey Simmons will get pressure on him. They've been doing that all year. They've been doing that to a ton of quarterbacks. I know the Patriots' offensive line is decent, but the Rams' offensive line was good too, and they got pressure on Jared Goff. Matthew Stafford. So I think that the pressure that the Titans put on the Patriots, I think that's going to be the difference in this game, and I think Tannehill's going to be able to manage the game. He makes less mistakes than Mac Jones. So I got the Titans going into New England and pulling the upset, winning it 21-17. But can this Pats defense help them extend their winning streak to 6?
I think so. I have the Pats win this game 24-16. They have not allowed a point in the last 19 drives, and the Browns after their first drive did nothing right. Like the 2 drives that the Panthers got those field goals on, I think they went, one drive was 6 yards and they kicked the field goal. The other was like 7 yards and they kicked the field goal. So the last few weeks, nobody's really been able to move the ball against these guys. Matthew Judon's been unbelievable. They played a lot more zone coverage and it's helped. Like Jalen Mills, I think, even last week played better. I think it fits him more. And I think, this mini kind of bye here with 10 days off, I think it's big for him here. The Titans, again, they've struggled. I know they forced a turnover against the Rams. They only had 194 yards. against the Rams. They had 264 against New Orleans. And last week, I know they got kind of a bunch late against the Texans, but they really haven't moved the ball lately, since Derrick Henry went out. So I think the Patriots shut them down. I don't think they're able to do much at all offensively. And the Patriots, last week forced four or five interceptions last week. Like, the Patriots have been forcing turnovers. I think they forced a couple this week, giving Mac Jones a short field for that offense. I really like the way the team's playing. I think there's a real belief right now in this Patriots team that they can beat anybody. And I see them at home winning this game 24-16.
This is a great situation. I'll admit, this is a great situation for the Patriots. They're at home. They got 10 days off. They're playing a Titans team who's coming off a terrible loss. But the reason I'm picking the Titans is I just think Mike Vrabel has had his way with this Patriot team. And this is with Tom Brady. This isn't with Mac Jones. This is with Tom Brady. Vrabel owned this Patriot. And we got to come from Jared. I'm with Steve. The Patriots have to come back to earth sooner or later, and I agree with. And that's a good comment by Jared, because if you look at this Patriot team, they still don't scare you in the passing game. I mean, Mac Jones, I think he's played really well against the Browns and against the Jets. But if you look at the games against the Falcons and the Panthers, they scored under 20 points. They still were very conservative with him. The defense carried them to those wins. I'm not hating on Mac Jones, but I'm just saying that the defense carried them to those wins. So I still don't think New England. I think they're obviously good. I think they could be a wild card team, but I still think, even with Buffalo's problems, I still think Buffalo's the best team in that division because of the quarterback, because of Josh Allen. So I still think New England. I know it's a weak AFC, and a lot of people think they're the best team in the AFC. I don't think they're the best team in the AFC. I think they are going to come down to earth this week because of, I think the Titans will blitz, and Mac Jones had issues picking up blitzes against the Falcons. And the Titans have a better defense than the Falcons. I think they're going to get pressure on them, and they're going to force them to make mistakes. And I think in this game, Ryan Tannehill's not going to turn the ball over a ton, and that's why I think it's close and competitive. But I just think Tennessee comes away with the win. Yeah,
I could see it. I see Jared's comment. Usually New England does win these games easy. As his comment at New England, New England wins these easy. Bill will take away the run and make Tannehill try to beat them with a hurt A.J. Brown pass win 27-24. I meant Sanders.
She says 27-14.
27-14.
Yeah. I mean, I could see the Pats winning this game by that score, but Mike Vrabel's done a really good job against Bill Belichick, and I just don't think this Patriots team. And yes, they're 7-4, but I just don't think I just don't think they're a great team. I still don't think they're a great team. I'm not completely buying them yet. Yes, if they win the next 2 weeks, I'll start buying them. I promise you guys that, but I'm still not buying them yet because obviously they blew out the Browns, but that was with a banged up Baker Mayfield without Nick Chubb. And then the Chargers was their best win. I mean, I'll give them that one, but still, outside of that, they beat a bad Jets team, an average Carolina Panthers team, and then a Falcons team that's really been slumping. So I'm not discrediting the Patriots. I just don't think they're explosive enough on offense to consider them a great team.
Yeah, and I think that's like their one flaw right now. I think they're the third best team in the AFC. I have the Chiefs. The Chiefs continue to be like they are as a top team, and then I have Bills. I have the Bills barely above the Patriots. Then I have like the Ravens just behind the Pats. I just with all their injuries. I see Sanders comment. Steve, they have the top 5 defense or for them.
I get it. But the thing is when you pressure Mac Jones and you take away that run game, he's not as good as you saw, when they played teams like the Saints, when they played teams like the Bucks, they didn't score as many points. And let's not think this. And yes, they put up a ton of points against the Jets, and they put up a ton of points against the Browns. But just there's certain games where there's just consistency issues with their passing game. There's just which Kansas City's picked it up the last couple of weeks. Baltimore with Lamar Jackson, and then if Derrick Henry comes back for Tennessee, I just think those teams are more explosive.
Yeah, the Pats don't have that explosive guy, yet. You hope they bring in that guy. But yeah, like that's their one flaw. I think their defense is good enough though to keep them like the Rams. Like I don't think it's on the Rams. It's obvious their defense obviously on the Rams level. Back a few years ago when they made Super Bowl, but like I think their defense is good enough, especially with how weak the AFC is this year. I think their defense is good enough to lead them to a Super Bowl. I don't think it's going to win them a Super Bowl. Definitely not. But I think their offense is good enough just to do enough if their defense plays well. The Patriots haven't played much at all. this next 4 weeks, we're going to find out a lot. They have.
We're going to learn. We're going to learn. We're learn a ton about the Patriots if they win those 3 games. If they win, if they go like 3-1 in their next 4 games, I might even say they may even be the best team in the AFC. But I just don't see it happening. I see at best they're going to go 2-2 in those games.
Yeah, and that's what I want. I just want this team to go 2-2. You're sitting at 9-6 with still the Jags at home.
And then you got the Dolphins. If you're 2-2, you're good enough to make the playoffs. You go 2-2, they're going to make the playoffs in those games. Oh, yeah. They just got to avoid going any worse than that.
Yeah, that's the thing. They just because they're beating the Jags and Miami. So if you can get the 9 wins by the end of the stretch, you're good because that's going to get you 10 wins is 100% going to get you in the playoffs this year. So we're going to find out a lot. I think we could beat the Bills because of the way the Bills cannot stop the run. So I think we could beat the Bills by controlling the running game. Yes, it's going to be tough to go up there. I assume the best Bills team's going to come out, but the way I've seen the Bills play the last few weeks, I still think they're a good team. I'm not that scared of them. Right now, the way they're playing. I see Sanders comment the Pats go get in free agency next season. We can see the Patriots. I love that Chris Godwin. That'd be a great addition.
That'd be great. There. That'd be great. Great. We'll see what happens in free agency. But obviously looking at this year, as you said, we're going to learn a lot about this team in the next 4 weeks because their schedule gets tough now. Titans, Bills twice, and then you got the Colts. You're playing 3 contending teams. You're playing the team you got to beat to win the AFC East twice. So you're going to learn a ton about this team in the next 4 weeks. I just think personally, I think they're a good team. I just don't think they're as good as Baltimore, Kansas City, even the Bills and then even the Titans if they have Derrick Henry. And we'll learn about the Titans. We'll find out we'll find out if they're better than the Titans this week. If they beat the Titans by 2 scores, yes, I'll admit they're better than the Titans this week. But obviously we're just going to find out a lot about this team in the next 4 weeks. Yeah,
absolutely. We will. The Titans again, the 2 of the 2 losses come to the Texans and the Jets. So it's they could be sitting at 10-1 right now, something like that. So it could definitely be a team right now saying 1 seed. I definitely do think it's a good team still. I don't really know what this offense hasn't done a lot. They Tannehill threw 3 or 4 picks last week. I think it's a good team. I think defensively they've really stepped it up this year, but I really love the way the Pats mojo is right now. They're playing some really good football right now, and I think they find a way to pull it out Sunday.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Big game on Sunday in Foxborough. But we got to go on to my team, and my team is right now a complete mess. This team is a mess. Yesterday they fired Jason Garrett, which is part of he was part of the problem. He's not the entire problem. The biggest problem with this team is Dave Gettleman, and he needs to be fired immediately. He needs to be fired. I don't know why he hasn't been fired yet because he is the biggest problem with this Giants team. And it all started in 2018. It started, with the Nate Soldier signing, which was absolutely horrible. The trading for Alex Ogletree, which was terrible. And then obviously in the draft that year, you got Josh Allen sitting right there. And I know I wanted Sam Darnold. I'll get it. But you got Josh Allen sitting right there. But, we go 3-13, but they got and I love Eli, but they don't move on from Eli. They draft a running back, number 2 overall. And then funny, I told you guys Garrett wouldn't last. And you're right about that. You're right about that, Jared. You got to be so happy that Jason Garrett's away from your team. And I was kind of high on Jason Garrett coming in as the offensive coordinator, but exactly. It's a terrible move in the first place, hiring Jason Garrett. Offense was way too conservative, and it definitely was a problem. And you got to count from Xander. I'm just upset that as a Cowboys fan that I have to sit there and watch the Pats be great for another 20 years while my boys don't. That's just the reality of the situation, my man, Xander. That's the reality of the situation. I mean, we'll see. We don't know how great the Pats are going to be yet. Let's pump the brakes there. And hey, you never know with your Cowboys. If they somehow, Jerry, if they maybe someday, maybe Jerry finally realizes I can't be a GM anymore. They hire a GM. They get the right head. They hire the right head coach, and maybe they get back to being a great team because they got the talent. The problem with the Cowboys is it's the coaching. If Jerry steps down as GM, they hire a GM, they get the right head coach. Who knows, Xander? You might see the Cowboys win a Super Bowl soon, but that's what has happened. That's what is going to end up having to happen for the Cowboys to do that. But moving back onto the Giants, Dave Gettleman needs to be fired fired immediately. And that's the first. I mean, and I said it after 2020. And the big reason he kept his job in 2020 is they beat the Seahawks. They don't beat the Seahawks, he doesn't get fired. But yeah, go back to 2018. Not taking a quarterback was inexcusable in 2018. I know they were probably right about not taking the guy that I wanted in Sam Darnold, but they should. The fact they didn't take Josh Allen, you can't explain that pick. Then the Odell thing that offseason. You sign him and then you trade him. Then you have $16 million in dead money. I know I've gone through this, but it's just, and then in the draft, instead of taking a play, you stick with Eli, but then taking a player is going to help you this year. You end up taking a quarterback. So you have a guy you're paying $20 million to, or the number 6 pick sitting on the bench. So that made no sense. Just so many moves with Dave Gettleman that made absolutely no sense. He is the number one reason why this team is what it is right now. And he absolutely needs to be fired. And you know what? For the performances this team had on Sunday, Daniel Jones, and I've defended Daniel Jones, but on Sunday he did not look like a franchise quarterback at all. And I mean, on Monday night he did not look like a franchise quarterback at all. So and Joe Judge, this year, Monday night wasn't really on him, but really for some of the games this year, with a lack of discipline with this team, everything's on the table. For what happened Monday night, everything is on the table. Everybody can be fired, and it's reasonable to have everything is on the table at this point for the Giants. Gettleman, Judge, and Jones. None of those guys are safe at this point.
Yeah, and they shouldn't. I just saw Monday night. You had 15 days off, and I thought they'd come out much more ready to go, and it just did not seem like Tampa Bay moved down the field in a
and they were lucky. They were lucky to be in that game. That game should have been like 20. That game was 17-10 at halftime. They were lucky that game wasn't 20-3 at halftime. That holding call and that terrible turnover the Bucs had saved them. That saved them. That gave them a chance in that game. And I said, I heard a pundit say that you had the worst coach quarterback tandem in the league. It's not. I wouldn't say it's the worst, but it's not good. Let's just put it. Let's just say that it's not good. It's not. I don't think it's the worst, but it's not good. It's not a quarterback tandem that's going to lead you to the promised land. That's for sure.
No, and I don't think he's been put in the best position. Daniel Jones. Again, they have all the weapons out. I know for mostly he really had not played with all those guys all year, and it's like, okay, what could he do with all of them? We really haven't seen that. But it's like, yeah, at times it's like he looks like he can do it. And at other times, like Monday night, it's just like, what are you doing? Like that first interception, he threw right to that Buccaneers defensive lineman. Like, it just landed in his lap.
That was a horrible interception. And in year 3, you just can't make a mistake like that. That was a horrible interception by Daniel Jones there. And you just can't make a mistake like that in year 3. And yeah, there's the games. There's the New Orleans game. You're looking at in the Carolina game. We're saying, yeah, this is the guy. We got the guy. But then you watch the games against the really good teams, against the Bucs and the Rams. His numbers against the Bucs and the Rams: 1 touchdown, 5 picks. That's inexcusable, and then that's where you very easily can move on from the guy. And those are the 2 games I look at: the Panther game and the Saints game. Yes, those games you could say, oh yeah, Daniel Jones is the guy, and then you look at the Bucs and the Rams games, the teams you need to beat to compete for a championship, and you play that poorly, and that shows you why the Giants aren't even close to competing for anything right now.
No, it's unfortunate. And I mentioned this. I don't know if you remember telling you, because I think I got like disconnected like halfway through a couple weeks ago. I think the Giants need to stop hiring guys that have any ties to this organization, because I think that's the most.
That's a great point. That's absolutely. I said it right when they hired Dave Gettleman. Why would you hire a guy that worked with Jerry Reese? It makes no sense. It makes no sense at all. Why you would do that? That's why if this next GM is Kevin Abrams, they're screwed. They're screwed. And you'll know they're screwed if they hire Kevin Abrams. They better not hire Kevin Abrams. They need to hire a guy outside the organization. If they don't, they are screwed, and they will continue to lose. They will continue to lose. If they hire a guy that is in the organization, they will continue to lose.
Yeah, absolutely. Because it just hasn't really happened. Like, I was looking this up. Since 1970, out of the NFC East, they have the least amount of NFC titles. They only have 8. Washington has 9. And it's like, I know the Giants have had some of their runs, but it's like they never go on a run that seems like for 5, 6. Like, they never sustain it. Like, it's there for like 3-4 years, but then it's like they can never kind of like get it going for like 6-7 years. Like, it really hasn't. They haven't really been able to do that. I know the Cowboys have always been good, but yeah, it's been a lot of losing, especially the last decade. They just cannot get it right. And I thought coming on paper with the signings they had, I thought they had a good draft class coming in. I know all the injuries hurt, but yeah, they can't put it together. And it's unfortunate. And they have to get rid of Dave Gettleman. But if you're going to bring in a guy to say get another guy at Giant 10 like Kevin Abrams, what's the difference? What's the difference going to be?
The Giants have built a dynasty since the Super Bowl started. I mean, yeah. I mean, the Giants have built a dynasty since this. We call Jeff Hostetler's and a wild card Super Bowl chief. Yeah, I mean, but the thing is with the Giants right now is just it's been going on since 2013. Just poor decisions started from Jerry Reese. It's stuck with Dave Gettleman and Will Hernandez. That was another Dave Gettleman pick that was terrible, and he was terrible on Monday night. It's just been absolutely pathetic, and it's just they obviously need to move on from Gettleman, and Judge and Jones are on the table too. But we got to get to the game on Sunday with the Giants, and they host the Eagles. The Eagles have really found an identity. I think this Eagles team has really found an identity with the running game with Jordan Howard, Miles Sanders last week with Jalen Hurts, and I think it helps with the running game too with Jalen Hurts because that opens up the zone read and the read option. I think they're going to move the ball on the Giants defense. I think with how poor the Giants linebackers are, I think they're going to be able to run the football against that Giants defense. And I think for the Giants, I do think they move the ball a little bit. I think this is a game Saquon Barkley plays well in because I think the Eagles like to play that 2-deep zone. They have 6 guys in the box. I think Saquon Barkley has a huge game there. I think Freddie Kitchens, what he's going to do is there's going to be more big plays in the offense. And I know Garrett took chances. There are going to be more big plays. And I feel like he's going to use, especially in this game with how weak the Eagles linebackers are with TJ Edwards. It's a different animal when you're facing Levante David and Devin White. You're facing TJ Edwards and Alex Singleton. I feel like that Freddie Kitchens, they're going to use a lot more zone read and read option with Daniel Jones. They're going to run Daniel Jones more. And I think the Giants will move the ball too. I think this is a close competitive game, but I'm going to go with the better football team here. And I'm going to go with the Eagles to win this game 27-23 at the Meadowlands. But Justin, can the OC change spark the Giants to an upset win?
I don't think so. I have the Eagles 31-21. I really like the way the Eagles have been playing. It sounded like what I heard that, Freddie Kitchens would be more aggressive with his offense. We'll see how that helps. Kadarius Toney, that pass he threw, why don't you use him some more and some gimmicky stuff? Hopefully he uses some more gimmicky type play calling too. Like a guy like Toney you could use in the running. Like how the Niners have been using Deebo Samuel last, 2 weeks. I mean, he's got 13 carries and he was a leading rusher last week. He's a guy that's got a lot of speed that you can use on the outside. You got to try something outside of the box, I feel like. And will Freddie Kitchens do it? What you're saying, it sounds like he will. It sounds like he's going to be more aggressive. I just have to see him do it first. I'm not the biggest Freddie Kitchens guy from what we saw in Cleveland. And then one game too last year, I forget when he was the OC, he called the most ridiculous play. I'm sure wasn't 4th and goal. He called some I think that Sunday night game last year. I can't remember. We
got a comment from Xander. Giants should take a page out of the Sixers and start a process to get the best possible talent for 4 to 5 seasons. I promise the Giants will be a powerhouse until they can. Hey, anything could work at this point. I mean, they got 2 first-round picks. We'll see what they do with those. But at this point, anything's better than what they've been doing.
They could be top 10 picks at this point because the Bears right now, I don't think are getting too many more wins. The Giants, I know the schedule starts to ease up a bit, but who knows? You could have possibly 2 top 10 picks, which will start. I think it kind of depends on what happens with Gettleman here and who your new GM if who he's interested in, but it could start. There's 2 very top 10 picks who could kind of maybe help things go. Steer some things in the right direction, but. Or you could use it as trade bait and try to go get somebody. I don't know who as a quarterback or, if you wanted to or a weapon or another weapon. Who knows? You could do a lot with those 2 picks. But, Giants need to kind of figure out something. I guess, as you said, anything's possible right now with the Giants. You can kind of try to do anything right now. Giants to try to fix it because there's no easy way right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And going back to the game against the Eagles, I think the running game and Hurts is ultimately – and the pressure they're going to put on Daniel Jones ultimately makes a difference in this game.
I think the Eagles have really found something. I think Jalen Hurts has looked a lot better now that remember a month ago the Eagles fans were just like sarcastically cheering when they handed the ball off. Now Hurts is only throwing it like 20 times a game. So I think the Eagles are really
Jared's comment. I would be careful making any probably the nice one, Jared. Yeah, you really don't want to be seeing what the Giants have been doing the last 9 years. You don't want to be making any promises about the Giants. Jared's right about that.
No, yeah, it's been a long process here for the Giants. Yeah, it's tough depending on who comes in here, but I think Jalen Hurts has looked a lot better, and I think the Eagles win this game 31-21.
Yeah, I hate to say it, but I got to go with the Eagles in this one. But we got to get to our best bets this week, and Hurst lost his first 25 games.
I saw that.
I mean, Hembo works on Greeny Show at ESPN. Brought that really interesting there. Really, and the thing is he doesn't get the notoriety because he doesn't win as many games. And let's be real, he hasn't had the coaching or the team around as good of a team around him as Lamar has. But you never know with Jalen Hurts right now. He potentially there's a chance he could be the guy for the Eagles. I think the Eagles are absolutely giving him another year after the season he's had.
Oh, absolutely. Like I really think that again, like really they've become so run heavy. He hasn't had to throw the ball a lot, and I think it's made him a lot more confident out there, and you can see he's much less decisive. It's really opened everything up, and Jalen Hurts looks like a much better quarterback, and he looks like a much more confident quarterback. So, it really has worked, and I think if you're the Eagles right now, they're 5-6 right now, and they don't have to get on the plane the rest of the year. With all their road games, they're pretty much just like train trips or buses. So, I wouldn't shock. I know how competitive the NFC is, but like if the Eagles do somehow find a way to sneak in the wild card, I wouldn't be shocked. And obviously, if you do sneak in the wild card, you got to bring back Jalen Hurts no matter what.
Oh, absolutely. I think they make the playoffs. I think with this schedule, I think they finish 9-8. I think they take 3 out of 4 against Washington and the Giants because they have 4 of those games. I think they take 3 out of 4 against them. I think they obviously beat the Jets. They'll obviously win that. Game. And I think we'll see what happens with the Cowboys. I think the only 2 games they lose is probably maybe Dallas, but Dallas might not be playing for anything, so they might have the division clinched at that point. And then I think they lose maybe one of the games to the Eagles or the Giants. But I think that's it. I think the Eagles finish 9-8. I think they get that wild card spot. I really do. Because I think the way the Saints and Panthers are playing, I don't think they go to the playoffs. I do think San Francisco is the team that gets that other spot. Obviously, the Rams will get the one of the other spots too, but I think the Eagles. I think they get that 7 seed. I'm predicting them to get the 7 seed right now.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. They should be right there. Yeah, because the Giants, you get Giants and Washington. Washington's been playing better, so we'll see. But like if they could get a split there, get a sweep at the Giants. You got the Jets on the road next week, and then the Cowboys at home. Like if they already clinched the division, they already clinched their seed. They it's a meaningful game for Philly. At home on week 18, I can't see any reason why they'd lose that game. So I can see the Eagles going to run. It would not shock me to see them be the 7th seed in the playoffs. And a month ago you're kind of talking Nick Sirianni was not the guy, but they figured some things out, and he's done a really nice job in the last few weeks. This Eagles team looks really, really good.
Yeah, the jury's out on him, but he's proving that. He has the chance to be a decent head coach. The jury's still out, but he has a chance to be a decent head coach. But we got to get to our best bets. Mine this week are I like the Titans getting 6.5. 6.5 points. Come on, I'm so sick and tired of the Patriots getting all this respect. I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of it. To me, they're still not a great team. They're getting a 6.5, almost a touchdown favorite against the team. I know they don't have Derrick Henry, but a team that is the number 1 seed in the AFC, and they've owned the Patriots. They've beaten them the last 2 times with Tom Brady. Let's say that too. So 6.5. I'm definitely taking the Titans there. The Jets, and if any team is getting points against the Texans, I still don't think the Texans are any good. Even though they've won that game against the Titans, I don't see that team winning 2 in a row. Even though the Jets have had issues with that quarterback, with their quarterback situation, I'm still taking the Jets 2.5. And here's the surprising one. I'm taking the Colts 2.5 against the Bucs. I think the Bucs got with Vita Vea. That's going to be so big in that game. Is if Vita Vea could play. If Vita Vea can't play, I think Jonathan Taylor has a really good game against the Bucs. And I think the Colts. I think they cover and they win that game. And for the Bucs, they might not have Mike Evans either. So I'm taking the Bucs plus 2.5 again. I'm taking the Colts getting 2.5 against the Bucs.
Yeah, Xander's comment, Steve. It's because it's at New England November. Oh, look at the Patriots record in November past 5 years.
It's been really good. Even last year it was good. I get it. I think there's a very good chance they win this week. I just think the Titans win close. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots win this week.
No, I wouldn't either. And that line too, that if you look last week, like the look headline, it was like the Patriots only a point or two favorite. So to go up by 4 in a week like that's very rare. And I know the Patriots look great and the Texans. I mean, the Titans losing the Texans is not good. But that's a bigger number than I thought it would be. But yeah, so I could easily see the Titans covering this game, or I still do think the Titans will win. But my picks this week, I go in the Bills Thursday night. I just think the Saints team is so beat up right now, and I think the Bills have to win this game. I'm going to take, as we were talking, I'm going to take the team that's more healthy right now. It's playing better. I think Josh Allen tears them up on the ground, and I think they win this. I think the Bills go in there, win this game. And then I'm going to take the Rams. Right now it's to pick them in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers is banged up with his foot. The Packers could be missing 2 guys on the offensive line. So I think the Rams could get pressured. They've been embarrassed the last 2 weeks in the primetime games. I can't see the Rams losing this game. I think Matthew Stafford plays better. Packers being so banged up right now. I think Cooper plays well, and I'm going to take the Rams to knock off the Packers. And then my last one, Monday night, Washington versus Seattle. So in the last 15 games that Russell Wilson has started, he's averaging 215 yards passing and a touchdown and a half. That's it. And the only other quarterbacks are doing that is like Tua Tagovailoa and Sam Darnold. So Washington's starting to figure some things out right now. And Colt McCoy tore him up in the air last week. So I expect Taylor Heineke to do the same this week against the Seahawks. It's a team that's reeling. It's a team right now I have no trust in. So I'll take Washington to win as well on Monday night.
And a good point by Xander, getting back to that Titans-Patriots game. A.J. Brown, that could be very critical. That could obviously be very critical because that's the one thing the Titans have. I feel like the Titans have a major advantage over the Patriots is their skill guys. Julio Jones, I know he's not as good as he used to be, but he's still better than any receiver the Patriots have. And A.J. Brown, that's going to be huge if A.J. Brown can't play in that game. Yeah,
absolutely, because then they're down their top 2 guys. They still have Julio Jones, but yeah, not to have a big playmaker like that. Against the Patriots secondary, who has been playing better since they've kind of switched to man zone coverage, and it's kind of what Bill figures out by now of what his team does best. So yeah, losing A.J. Brown is gonna be huge. You already lost Derrick Henry, so yeah, it's gonna make they may have to really rely on that run game, which the Patriots have been good stopping if they don't really if A.J. Brown isn't able to go on Sunday.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. That obviously is an interesting game. We got to get back to Sunday's slate, and we got the Bucs traveling to Indy to face the Colts. And I think this should be it's going to be a really, really close competitive game. But as I said, this is why the Colts are my best bet. The difference is going to be is I think Vea being. I don't think Vea is going to play, and I don't think and Evans might not play. So I think this is a close competitive game. But I think Jonathan Taylor is a big day. And I do think that Carson Wentz manages this game. I feel like the Colts are the team that's going to run the football better, which probably ultimately leads to the quarterback making less mistakes. And I think Brady makes that one big – I know Brady's played really well, and Bucs are still my Super Bowl pick. And this will be the last time I'm going to promise everyone, this will be the last time I pick against Tampa Bay for the rest of the season. As long as number 12 is back there, this is the last time I pick against Tampa Bay, but I'm going to pick against them here because I really like the way Indy's playing. I think because I do think Brady will make that one mistake if Mike Evans doesn't play. There's just too many unknowns with who will play and who won't play for the Bucs. So I think this is a really close competitive game. But I'm going to go with the Colts in the upset. I got the Colts winning 27-24. But Justin, can Brady stay hot and keep the Bucs in contention for that number 1 seed?
I think they can. I'm a little pessimistic because the Bucs have been horrible on the road, but I have the Bucs win this game right now, 27-20. Yeah, if some of these injury news comes out, I may switch to the Colts because I wouldn't try to meet the Colts do win this game, especially if Vita Vea is out. But Brady's been on fire lately, and he always plays his best. He always says it. It's like the season starts after Thanksgiving. It's after, Sunday will be after Thanksgiving. And I can't see him play as bad as he did on the road, like he did in Washington, like he did in New Orleans. He still has Godwin. He's, still has Gronk, O.J. Howard as a tight ends. I think, they may struggle to run the football in this game. And I think that's the key because that's really what led them to the Super Bowl last year. They really got that running game going. It's going to be tough this week to get it going against a good Colts team, but if they can, I think obviously it was a huge part of why they won the Super Bowl last year. I do worry Brady's got to drop back and throw this ball 40, 45 times this week, but I think they do enough on the ground in this game. I think their offense, I think Brady spreads balls out to Godwin and Howard, Gronk, and I think they do enough in this game to get the win over the Colts 2020.
AFC North matchup in Cincinnati between the Steelers and the Bengals, and I think this is going to be the game. This is going to be a close, competitive game. I do think Big Ben has played a little bit better recently. He definitely has played better. So I do think they move the ball. The Steelers. I think he gets the ball to Chase Claypool and Deontay Johnson. I think he's able to move the ball. I think they'll struggle to run it because the Bengals are good against the run. But the problem is the Steelers are a different defense without T.J. Watt, and it's clear and it's obvious. You look at the record of the team and the games he hasn't played in. The Steelers have been the Steelers have not won a game. He got hurt midway through that Raiders game. He didn't play the last time against the Bengals. It looks like he's not going to play this week against the Bengals, and he didn't play last week, and the Steelers gave up 41 points. This Steelers defense is a different defense without T.J. Watt. That's why he's a top 5 edge rusher in the league. I think this is a close, competitive game, but I'm going to go with the team with the more explosive offense. I'm going to go with the team with Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. And it's crazy I'm picking a team that's coached by Zach Taylor, maybe a team that's coached by Mike Tomlin to win twice, but I'm just going to go with the better quarterback right now in the more explosive offense. And that's why I got the Bengals beating the Steelers 28-20. But Justin, can the Steelers bounce back this week and get revenge from week 3 against the Ravens?
It's going to be tough. There's a lot of unknowns. I have the Bengals win this game right now, 23-17. Like, if it sounds like Watt's not going to play, I definitely think it's a huge difference because, as you mentioned, they really defensively last week, they were horrible. It didn't help either that they had Mika Fitzpatrick was out as well. Their best guy in the secondary, led the league in interceptions 2 years ago. So that was a big piece that they did not have back there as well. Jared, the nice commentary for Steve.
You're one of them. Yeah, thank you, Jared. Thank you very much, and thanks for listening. Thanks for listening, my man. Thanks for listening. You do a great job on throwing jabs as well, so thanks for listening, my man.
Thanks for listening, Jared. But in this game, I think Cincy does what I think with all the questionable guys right now that's out for the Steelers, I have to pick the Bengals. I think they do enough. I think Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, do enough in this game. Pitt. I think I would think about this too with Big Ben because he has played better, and because 2 years ago when he tore his UCL, he had Tommy John surgery, and I felt like at the end of last year, when he really started to struggle and you couldn't throw deep, I think he just got tired because that's really what happens to a lot of these major league pitchers after they get Tommy John. They just get worn out and their arms kind of get tired. And he was throwing the ball a lot last year. They couldn't throw the football, so I think that was a huge part of why they kind of tailed off last year. But I can't really see the Steelers win this game with all the question marks right now. I like the Bengals. I thought they came out and played well last week in Las Vegas. So I'm going to take the Bengals to win this one again, 23-17.
We got an interconference matchup in Miami. Panthers need this win to stay in the playoff race. The Dolphins, they're trying. I mean, they have to pretty much win out to keep their playoff hopes alive. And for this game, I think it's really, really close and competitive between these two teams. But I think the difference is going to be the running game of the Panthers with Christian McCaffrey. Miami struggles to stop. There's a great stop in the run. And the pass rush of Hassan Reddick and Brian Burns getting pressure on Tua Tagovailoa. And that's why I think Cam Newton makes less mistakes than Tua. I think this is a close, competitive game. But I'm going to go with the Panthers. I'm going to go with the Panthers winning this game close. I got the Panthers winning it 23-20. But Justin, can Tua lead the Dolphins to their 4th straight win?
I think they will. I got the Dolphins win this one at home 24-20. I think Tua protects the football. Yeah, the Panthers passer has been really, really good. I just can't trust Cam Newton at quarterback. So I know he played all right last week. I'm just still not a big fan of him. I think the Dolphins are really figuring things out. Their defense played a lot better the last few weeks. I think this Dolphins team's kind of figured some things out. I think Carolina last week gave up 190 yards on the ground. The Pats ran all over them a couple weeks ago. I think, Dolphins get something on the ground with Myles Gaskin, going. I know they've been horrible running the football this year, but I think they do enough this week. I think, Tua does enough to protect the football, and I think their defense makes a play or two for Tua to help them out. get them some short fields in this game. And I'm going to take the Dolphins. I really like the way they're playing right now. I know, they beat the Jets last week. I know they beat Titans a couple weeks ago, but they played well against the Ravens a few weeks on that Thursday night a couple weeks ago. I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins here, 24-20. I think Tua gets it done. I think he's played better. As long as he practices football, I think they win this game.
Falcons head down to Jacksonville trying to snap their 2-game losing streak against the Jaguars. And I think, again, this is a close, competitive game. But I'm gonna go with the QB with a little bit more upside here. I'm gonna go with Trevor Lawrence. I think this is a game where Trevor Lawrence. I think the biggest difference in this game is Josh Allen. I think Josh Allen, the guy from not confusing with the Bills quarterback, but the guy from the Jaguars. I think he gets pressure on Matt. I think that's gonna be the difference. Is the Jaguars get pressure on Matt Ryan. The Falcons will be without Calvin Ridley this week, and I do think Trevor Lawrence makes less mistakes than Matt Ryan in this game. And I think that the pressure is going to be the difference. Josh Allen, I think he's been playing well recently for the Jaguars. He's going to be the difference maker. And that's why I got the Jags winning this game. I got them getting their third win. I got the Jags winning this game 20-17 over the Falcons. But Justin, can Matt Ryan help the Falcons snap their losing streak?
I don't think so. Yeah, I got the Jags 27-17. They just have if Cordell Patterson does not play, what else do they have besides Kyle Pitts? Like Russell Gage is going to be your number one wide receiver. I just can't see the Falcons doing much offensively. I think the Jaguars, I know last week their defense got put in a tough spot, a couple turnovers early. They just could not get off the field. But besides that Niners game, the Jaguars have been starting to play competitive. The Falcons just have no sense of direction. Something we talk about all year. They can't run the football. They have no weapons right now besides Pitts. So as long as you keep Kyle Pitts in check, and as you mentioned, Josh Allen and that Jaguar pass rush and I think that's been a huge part of why their defense has been playing better the last couple of weeks. I think they get after Matt Ryan and they get a couple sacks on him. Again, I bet they force a couple of turnovers as well. And I have the Jags winning this game 27-20. And all those kind of, will Urban even make it through the season? Look like, the team's starting to play better. The team's starting
They didn't
to play
well last week, but they played. They are playing a little bit better. I'll give you that. They didn't play well last week, but they've started to play a little better. They upset the Bills. They were competitive at Indy. They played a little bit better. I think Urban Meyer's earning himself a second year. That's the thing. But yeah, I do think they bounce back from last week. I do think they win this game.
Yeah, horrible last week, but yeah, besides that, the last couple of weeks they've been better, and they figured some things out, and that defense has become a big weapon for them. So yeah, I think the Jags win this game on Sunday afternoon.
Battle of 2-8 teams down in Houston. The Jets face the Texans, and I think this is a really low scoring game between two terrible teams. But at the end of the day, I'll take the team with a little bit more talent. I'll take the Jets 19-17. Justin, who you got?
I had Texans 24-17. I like the Texans offense with Tyrod Taylor out there. I don't know what the Jets are going to do. Now that Wilson's back, do they change up their offense again to kind of help Wilson out? I don't know what to kind of expect from the Jets offense this week. I'll take the Texans this week at home. I think Tyrod Taylor plays well enough to get him a win, and I think against this poor Jets defense, I think he does enough through the air against them.
We got a big matchup in Green Bay between the Rams and the Packers. The issue is the Packers are all banged up, especially in the offensive line. We don't know if Bakhtiari is going to play. Jenkins is going to be out. And really, when you're facing a Rams defense that can get pressure on the quarterback, and the Packers might not even have Aaron Jones, so they can't run the ball, which is the one thing that, that's what the Niners have done to the Rams for years. That's why they've matched up well with the Rams. I think this game is going to be a really, really – it's going to be – even with Aaron Rodgers, and, but the problem with Rodgers is he's banged up too. So the Packers are just so banged up. But Aaron Rodgers being banged up, you still take half of the quarter – more than half the – you probably still take 75% of the quarterbacks. And you probably still take Rodgers over 75% of the quarterbacks in the league not being 100%. Shows you how good Rodgers is. But I just think in this game, the pressure of the Rams is going to be an issue. I think Rodgers may make – we don't see Rodgers make mistakes much, but he might make mistakes. And I do think the Rams, control the game on the ground. I do think they do a decent job running the ball. I do think Stafford, again, with the injuries the Packers defense has, I don't love Stafford, but I think he makes enough plays in this game for the Rams to win it. And that's why I got the Rams being the Packers 27-20. And Justin, this was one of your best bets. And why was it one of your best bets?
Yeah, I like the Rams because, as you mentioned, how banged up the Packers are. I forgot Jones may not even play either. Dylan, I like him. He's more of a bruising back. Offensive line, they're going to show. I think the Rams too. They're coming off a bye, and they've got embarrassed the last 2 weeks. On prime time. And I don't see any way. I see them coming out and playing their A game. I think Stafford makes some plays at Cooper Kupp. Again, he's having an MVP type season. I think that continues against this Packers defense. Yeah, I think they keep Rodgers off the field. He's banged up. So I think Aaron Donald gets after him, and the rest of that pass rush is going to get to him. And I think the Rams right now, I don't know. I don't think the Rams anymore are the best team in the NFC, but this is still a really good roster. They have one of the best out there in the league right now. And I think they go on the road this week and want to make a statement to the rest of the league that they're still to kind of, they're still a threat to the rest of the NFC. So I got the Rams going on the road this week and winning up in Lambeau.
And Jared, thank you so much for the support again. Thanks for the support again. All the love to you too, and I hope you and your family have a happy Thanksgiving. So thank you for all the support. You've been huge. You and Xander have been huge. You and Xander and Hector are probably three biggest fans of the show. We support, and we obviously all the listeners and all. We definitely appreciate you guys. So Jared, happy Thanksgiving to you and your family. Thanks for all the support.
Yeah, yes. Thank you, Jared. I really appreciate kind words there. Well, enjoy. I enjoy listening to your shows as well. That really means a lot to us. So thank you for listening. Thanks for always listening there. And happy Thanksgiving to you and your family as well.
We'll stick with the 4:00 games, and we got a big matchup in Santa Clara as the Vikings, the 5-5 Vikings, travel out to Santa Clara to face the Niners. And I think this is going to be a game. The game's going to be close. The Vikings always play close games. I mean, they always play close, exciting games. You probably know this is going to be a close and exciting game. I think, and it will obviously be no different this week. I think the 49ers have a lot of success on the ground, though. I think Garoppolo has a good game. I think Kittle has a good game. But I do think that the Vikings move the ball too. Justin Jefferson's been a stud. He's a stud, one of the top receivers in the game. He's making Kirk Cousins. Look at Kirk Cousins' numbers. It's not because of how great Kirk Cousins is. It's because of the weapons around him with Cousins, with Thielen, and with Dalvin Cook. And I think they'll move the ball in this game. It'll be close and competitive, come right to the end. But I think it's the final drive of the game. Garoppolo drives him down for the game-winning field goal. That's why I got the Vikings winning the Niners winning 30-27 over the Vikings. But Justin, can Kirk Cousins stay hot and keep them and increase the Vikings playoff hopes?
There's a chance, but I have the Niners win this game 31-27. And I know this could be a problem, but I know the Niners secondary, they love playing it physical. And if the refs let them play, then I think the Niners could be in good shape against Thielen and Jefferson, who may, if that's the case, may struggle. They get open, but if they're, because I believe the Niners still lead the league in defensive PI penalties, so they play physical with them. I could see, have them having a rough time trying to get open, but again, I guess part of that, they're calling a lot of PIs, and I think they could get in a lot of trouble. But I think the Niners defense does enough in this game. Again, it's still not great. It's still not that 2 years ago, but I think Dalvin Cook can have a big day on the ground if they can get that going. And if they could get a lead, get like a, 10-point lead, 2-possession lead against the Niners, then I think they're in great shape because Garoppolo, not great when he kind of falls behind there. So if they can get a lead in this game on the road, I think to be crucial. But I think the Niners will do enough to win this game on Sunday.
Got an AFC West matchup in Denver. And this is a big game for both teams because the Broncos, even though it doesn't seem like it by the way they've been playing recently, trying to get in the playoffs. Chargers trying to keep up with Kansas City for that lead in the AFC West. And I think the thing in this game is I'm going to go with the team with the better quarterback. I feel like Justin Herbert's going to have even though it's Denver's a tough place to play, I think he's going to have a good game this week. I think he's going to get the ball to Keenan Allen and Mike Williams. But I do think the Broncos do move the ball against this Chargers run defense, which has really struggled this year. I think Melvin Gordon and Javonte Williams have a good game. But the difference is going to be is Chargers are going to get touchdowns. Broncos are going to get field goals. That ultimately ends up being the difference. That's why I got the Chargers beating the Broncos 27-19. But Justin, can the Broncos running game carry them to an upset win?
I think it's very possible because the Chargers, they just do not really stop their run well at all. And if they can control the clock in this game and possess the ball for over 30, 35 minutes, they could do it somewhere around there. Then I think they have a great chance. If they can keep Justin Herbert off the field, and make him come back from behind, I think it's a very good chance in this game because, if they have a lead, if the Broncos do have a lead, Teddy's going to protect the football and not make the big mistake. He's usually pretty good at that. So I think the Broncos can get a good running game going, but I have the Chargers win this game 28-24. I just think the Chargers are a little bit too much for them. And I think the Chargers will do enough defensively though. But it wouldn't shock me if the Broncos go for over like 200 rushing yards and win this game. It would not surprise me one bit.
Got an AFC North matchup in Baltimore as the Browns travel to Baltimore to face the Ravens. And here's the thing, if you're Kevin Stefanski, you need to sit Baker Mayfield. I don't get why you're not. You should have sat him. You should have sat him weeks ago. He's playing bad. I know Baker Mayfield's not a great quarterback, but he's playing banged up. You need to sit him this week and start Case Keenum. Because there's not a huge drop off between the two, and you'll have a better chance to win this week. I'm not saying you're going to win. You'll have a better chance to win if you start Case Keenum. I think starting Baker Mayfield is going to be a disaster this week. I think it's going to be a disaster. I think the Ravens are going to, do a good job against the run. I think they're going to be able to contain Nick Chubb, and I think that Mayfield's going to turn over the ball a couple of times. And the Ravens are going to capitalize on that. And in this game, I have this game being a blowout because I'm going with the better coach and the better quarterback. And I think the Browns are making a huge mistake not sitting Baker Mayfield down for a week, resting him for this stretch run. I think this move is going to cost the Browns making the playoffs. I think it definitely is. That's why I got the Ravens winning this week. I got them winning it 31-13 because of the coach and because of the quarterback. It's just that simple. But Justin, can Nick Chubb have a huge game for the Browns to pull the upset?
It's going to be tough because the Ravens, that's what they do best. I have the Ravens win this game close, 24-21. I think it's a division game, and I think the Cleveland Browns keep it close amount. But I do agree because Baker's QBR last week was a 9.8 against Detroit Lions. That doesn't throw up red flags. I don't know what wills because he looked awful. I know I'm probably taking a huge gamble if the Browns keeping this thing close, but in a division game, the Ravens secondary had not been great, and I know the Lions secondary is not great either. But I think I think Chubb will get. I think Chubb's gonna have a tough time getting anything going. I think the Ravens could probably come out and make Baker beat you through the air. I think that's how you have to play it. I know the Ravens love blitzing, and if they do that, then I don't know how Baker has kind of much time to throw the football. I could see Baker's rough time under pressure. I don't see him making a lot of big plays in this game. I think the big thing is Cleveland's defense keeps them in it somehow, but I don't see Chubb having much of a big day at all this week. I think he's going to struggle, but I still do think the Browns keep it close. Browns do keep it close though in a division game.
We'll wrap up talking about the Monday night game, and the Seahawks had to land over Maryland to face the Washington football team. And I know the Seahawks have struggled. I know the Washington football team has played well, but I think it comes down to this. I can't see the Seahawks being 3-8. Losing 3 in a row with Russell Wilson as the quarterback, and I can't see the Washington football team winning 3 in a row with Taylor Heineke. I think things are going to add up this week, and that's why I think the Seahawks are going to pull the upset because I do think Russell Wilson's going to have a big game. I think he's got a pretty good game against the Washington defense that has played it better of late, but I think struggles without Chase Young and Montez Sweat. I think this was the week they struggle. They struggle to cover DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett. I think this is the week that Seattle's offense has a pretty good game, and I think Washington moves the ball, but I just think Russell Wilson makes more plays than Taylor Heineke, and in a close competitive game, I'm going to go with the Seahawks 27-24, but Justin, can Heineke play well enough to keep Washington in playoff contention? And this was your best bet, so why was it?
Yeah, I think he does. I think Colt McCoy again tore Seattle up through the air last week. And Taylor Heineke's been playing better. I watched him win this game 23-16. I just have no faith right now in the Seahawks. I just think it's a mess right now with everything going on. They have no draft picks either. They paid, they got Jamal Adams. They paid a high price for that. That's really starting to bite them there from the behind. But I think Taylor Heineke plays well. I think he's able to spread the ball out. Again, like Colt McCoy. I know Colt McCoy did it a couple weeks ago into the Niners. But, it's still Colt McCoy. He's been a journeyman, all of his career. I see Washington kind of do what they want. I can see Antonio Gibson being able to run the football on the ground this week as well, getting them going. And I just, I can't trust Seattle's offense. So I think Taylor Heineke does enough to win them this game, and I got Washington win on Monday night.
All righty, it should be an interesting week 12 in the NFL. But we got change at the top of the college football playoff rankings. But before that, we got a promo from Clovercrest Media.
It's been a pretty wet summer in Connecticut, and that means more mosquitoes than ever. If you didn't have your home service for mosquito control and find you're spending most of your time outside swatting those little pests, you are in luck. Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut provides the best value in mosquito control services because of how they treat your yard using the Mosquito Shield tailored treatment system. They don't use a fixed schedule or an identical product, one-size-fits-all service program because you can't control mosquitoes on a set number of sprays or visits. Unlike the competition, Mosquito Shield of Central Connecticut will service you for the season, whatever it takes to provide superior results. This promise has awarded them an industry-leading consumer retention rating of 90%. Visit MosquitoShieldCT.com to schedule an appointment with Wade DeCesare and enjoy the rest of your summer mosquito-free.
The college football playoffs are coming, and we got you covered in each game, rankings, and bowl game. We're breaking it down on each snap, each week, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Joe Aguirre, Jace Garcia, and myself, Obi Muniz, giving you the highlights, predictions, and current rankings. Visit our website at clovercrestmedia.com and hhwshow.com. It's all four downs, presented by the CMG Sports Podcast Network.
All right, we had another week of the rankings for the college football playoff rankings last night, and no debate who number one was. That's obviously Georgia, but we had a surprise at number. Not a surprise. I think we kind of expected it, seeing the way the two teams played last week. But Ohio State leaps over Alabama, which I think is right. I think right now Ohio State's a better team than Alabama. And then at number 4, finally a non-Power 5 team gets respect, and Cincinnati is number 4 in the playoff rankings. Then you got Michigan 5, Notre Dame 6, Oklahoma 7. And then my biggest issue, and it's been my biggest issue since these rankings came out, why is Oklahoma number 10? Why are they behind one team that has 2 losses, which I don't get. I don't get why Baylor's number 8 with 2 losses, and then 2 teams with 2 losses. Baylor and Ole Miss, they're behind 2 teams with 2 losses. I know Oklahoma hasn't played that well this year, but I don't get why they're behind those 2 teams. That's the one thing I don't get about it. I understand Ohio State leaving Alabama. I would have Michigan ahead of Cincinnati, but eventually whoever wins the Michigan, Cincinnati was gonna, if they win, Cincinnati's probably gonna win against East Carolina. So they were gonna be in the top 4 anyway. So I don't mind them being in the top 4. Just the thing that bothers me, and it's been bothering me all the time with this committee, is the lack of respect for Oklahoma. I know they haven't been impressive this year, but they're a 1-loss team, and they're a team that could very easily beat Oklahoma State twice. The lack of respect for Oklahoma is my problem with the committee. It's been my problem the entire time with the committee this year.
Yeah, I don't mind the Oklahoma one. They look broken. They are absolutely broken out there. And the only thing too is, if you say they shouldn't be behind the 2 lost teams, then why is San Antonio ranked 22nd? If that's the case, like, shouldn't San Antonio be in the top 10 then?
Yeah. But come on. San Antonio, Texas, San Antonio. Come on, look at the schedule.
All year.
They played well all year, but come on, it's Texas, San Antonio, and they have not played the schedule that. I know the Big 12 is not great, but they haven't played the schedule Oklahoma's played.
Oklahoma should have lost to Kansas. I think that's all you needed to know about Oklahoma.
All right, I got you there.
Kansas should have beat them. Yeah. And Iowa State should have beat them last week. They just turned the ball over 3 times, and they got a big goal line stand. But I was surprised. But, like, Oklahoma probably ranked like 13th. Oregon and Michigan State didn't get blown out the way they did. But, like, I guess, like this week, it wasn't like a huge argument really anywhere, because, Ohio State right now, I think clearly is the 2nd best team in the college football right now. Alabama struggled again, and I know last week I know they blew out New Mexico State, but again, that's a horrible team. But 2 weeks ago they struggled in LSU. So and they lost his last 2 in Jordan Hare. Like, I thought if Bo Nix was healthy, I really think there's a good shot Auburn was gonna beat them this week. But now, with him out, I don't think there's any chance they win that game. But I know like with Ohio State and Michigan, I know that's really gonna settle with that this week. Notre Dame, Oklahoma State. Like, Oklahoma State, I could see them. Jason's kind of here. My biggest problem with the rankings is San Diego State being ranked behind Utah. They only have 1 loss and beat Utah. I get Utah had that big win against Oregon. But yeah, they still have 3 losses.
Again, it's the conference they play, and Oh yeah, no, but you got a good point. San Diego State did beat them, so I probably put San Diego State ahead of them. I get it. It's the good point there. Good point there, Jace.
Yeah, they should. Yeah, if head-to-head matters, they say now head-to-head doesn't matter if you're before that Michigan game or at the week after, and Jace comment. He's a Utah fan too, and saying that.
And we know Jace loves his teams too. So if he's saying that, you know the committee's right. You know the committee didn't get that one right.
No, absolutely not. San Diego State, I know they play a pretty boring brand. They play like Iowa and Wisconsin. Like they don't blow anybody out, but they win with offense. They're with their defense and the way they run the football. But I can see that problem. I think San Antonio, they're 11-0. You should give them a little bit more respect here, but. Yeah, that's just me. I like the little guys. But Oklahoma State, I guess, will be interesting. Like Oklahoma State, if they do beat Oklahoma, do they have a shot there to jump Cincinnati if they beat Baylor? Next weekend. That's going to be so interesting to see what happens between Cincinnati. Notre Dame's probably going to only have 1 loss, and Cincinnati, Notre Dame, and Oklahoma State. That's going to be really interesting to see what happens between those 3 teams. And that's assuming that if Alabama wins, Alabama and Georgia are in, and then I'll say Ohio State wins, they're in. It would really be those 3 teams for that 4th spot. It would be those 2. Yeah, it'd be pretty much be those 3 teams for that 4th spot. And it'd be very interesting to see who you would put in outside of those teams. I think you would have to put. I think you definitely would have to put Cincinnati in because I think Notre Dame's below those teams. I think you would put Oklahoma State. It would be really between Oklahoma State and Cincinnati because Notre Dame lost, so they're out. So it would be between Oklahoma State and Cincinnati, and that's tough. A Big 12 champion against an undefeated team. That's a really tough call if that ends up happening. Yeah, and I think it wouldn't shock me to see Oklahoma State beat them out because they beat a top 10 team this week in Oklahoma. And if Baylor takes care of business, you're going to beat Baylor, who's in the top 10. And that's the one team that they lost to. So they got the revenge game. So
no, they lost to Iowa State. That'll be their second win against Baylor too. If they beat Baylor, that'd be their second win against Baylor because they lost to Iowa State, I think.
Oh yeah, yes, my bad. Yes, they did beat Baylor. Yeah, they beat Baylor. Yeah, they're 1 loss to Iowa State. So they beat a top 10 team twice. So it wouldn't shock me, especially I think they could beat Oklahoma by 2 possessions this weekend. And I know Mike Gundy has really showed, but they beat Kansas State when they were ranked number 25. I know, but Baylor was ranked. Even Texas was ranked when they beat them. So it'd be their 4th win against a ranked team. And they'd have a chance again next week. So I would not be surprised to see them jump Cincinnati here. And I wouldn't even shock that Notre Dame, if Oklahoma State does go down, I wouldn't even shock to see Notre Dame jump Cincinnati because Notre Dame's been rolling, and I think they can't. No.
I would have a problem. I would have a real problem with that. I have a real problem with Notre Dame because Cincinnati beat them on the field, and if they stay undefeated, they would only. And I'm not huge. You're more of a mid-major. You're more of a non-power 5 guy than I am. But I would say if Cincinnati beat them at Notre Dame, that would make no sense if Notre Dame leaves Cincinnati. In my opinion, that would make absolutely no sense.
It wouldn't, but we saw Michigan do that to Michigan State a couple weeks ago.
I know.
Sounds like head-to-head.
But they both had 1 loss. That was the difference. They both had 1 loss. But
I guess
I get your point. Notre Dame and Cincinnati, I do get your point there. They probably don't look at them equally, seeing that Cincinnati plays in the AAC. So you never know. There's really 2 scenarios. Because I'm assuming that Ohio State. I know they have a lot of big games this week, but I think they're going to win the Big Ten. And Georgia, they're going to get in regardless of what happens. So that's 2 teams that are in. The biggest thing is, and Cincinnati's definitely got to be rooting for Georgia. Cincinnati's definitely got to be rooting for Georgia to beat Alabama because if they go undefeated and Georgia beats Alabama, they're pretty much in. They're probably going to get into that number 3 spot, and then it's pretty much going to be down to a 2-loss Alabama team, Notre Dame or Oklahoma State. Say those teams went out, it would be down to those 3 teams. So if you're Cincinnati, you definitely want Alabama to win because that second scenario, if Alabama beats Georgia, Alabama's in, Georgia's in, and then Ohio State's probably in, and then for Cincinnati, it pretty much comes down to Notre Dame, them, and Oklahoma State.
Yeah, Yeah, I think Cincinnati. I think their FBI prediction right now is like 91% to get in. Like they're knocking on the doorstep. But there's the nice thing is Cincinnati. Houston should beat UConn, even though the last time Houston was ranked, they came to Rensselaer.
Yeah, but we all know who didn't play in that game. Who didn't play in that game though? That Houston didn't have. Who didn't play in that? Greg Ward didn't play in that game.
Yeah,
Greg Ward didn't play in that game, and that was and let's be honest, that was the best UConn football season since the Fiesta Bowl. That 2015 season, they went to a bowl game that year. They went 6-7. So that was the best UConn football season since they went to the Fiesta Bowl. So there is no shot that UConn even comes close to Houston.
No, probably not. Yeah,
probably not.
No, I said probably not.
There's no shot. There's no shot.
Why not? No, there's not. They probably have like a 2% chance or something. Probably less than that. But that's the year too. UConn had 6 defensive guys drafted. That defense was nasty.
Yep.
But yeah, going back, so I guess Cincinnati's got one more opportunity to be a top 25 team. But yeah, what is the committee value? Big 12 champion that knocked off Baylor twice that they seem very highly of. Or is it an undefeated ranked team on the American in Cincinnati? I think, obviously I'm rooting for Cincinnati. I just think Cincinnati deserves to get that spot. But again, we've seen it happen where they don't really, where they make up their own rules and they change the criteria week to week. So it wouldn't stun me. But Notre Dame, the way they've been playing, I wouldn't be shocked to see them jump. But again, I think they need real chaos to happen, but wouldn't totally be shocked. But yeah, I think right now, because I'm with you. I think Michigan loses this week, so I think we could throw Michigan out of the picture. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see what they do with Oak State, Notre Dame, assuming they win. I guess even Oklahoma State, assuming they win, and then Cincinnati as well. Who gets those last few spots there?
Yeah, it'd be very, very interesting to see what happens. But we got to get to the games. It's rivalry week, and why not start with the big game, the game in Ann Arbor between Michigan and Ohio State. This is a playoff game. This is a playoff game. The winner is in the Big Ten championship game. The loser, their college football playoff hopes are over. And in this game, I know Michigan's at home, so I think they stay in it early. Maybe Hutchinson gets some pressure on Stroud early, so maybe they stay in it early. But eventually, I think Ohio State's offense is going to be too much. I think C.J. Stroud, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, that offense is too much. Michigan likes to run the football. They're not as explosive. I think they might have success doing it, but eventually they're going to kick field goals. They're not going to score as many touchdowns at Ohio State. C.J. Stroud is better than Cade McNamara. I think it'll be competitive for a half, but I think Ohio State pulls away. Maybe it'll be competitive for maybe 2.5 quarters. But I think Ohio State pulls away late third quarter and wins by 2 scores. I got Ohio State winning the Big Ten East, getting to the Big Ten championship game, winning 35-20. But can Jim Harbaugh finally do it? We saw it in 2016. He lost a close one. Had a chance to get to the Big Ten championship game, lost. We saw it in 2018. Got blown out by Ohio State. Can Jim Harbaugh finally get over the hump and beat Ohio State?
No, I don't think so. I got 38-24. Buckeyes win this game. Michigan's got to score in the red zone, and I don't feel very confident that they can do that. We saw that Michigan State game. They weren't able to do that. And talking about the Michigan State game, Michigan State had a lot of explosive plays. And Michigan State's a good offense, but it's nothing compared to what Ohio State's offense is. And I think that's the issue. If they struggle to slow down that offense, I don't know how they're going to slow down this one. I don't C.J. Stroud right now, he's in a groove. They're playing really well. Wilson Olave, should have big gains of 3 backs that they have in that running game. The problem is the way I think Michigan, I think this game could be close, but Michigan has to score points. Michigan's not going to win this game 20-17. They have to score this game. They have to get in the 30s. And I just don't see them doing that. They're not explosive enough offensively, I don't think, to make enough big plays to keep up with this Ohio State team. And I think that's the issue. They don't really have a ton of explosive. Ronnie Bell was supposed to be that guy, but he got hurt week 1. But I just, I don't think Aiden Hutchinson could be enough of a game wrecker. We saw Oregon was really the only team that got any sort of pressure on this team. And that was back in week 2. We really haven't seen them be tested too much since. This is going to be probably the second best one they faced all year. But I don't see how Ohio State really loses this game. I just think they're just too explosive for the Wolverines. They can't keep up with them offensively.
Yeah, and I said it last week. Ohio State's got the most explosive offense in the country, and that's looking to be true. That's just looking to be true. They got the most explosive offense in the country, and I think it's going to be a closer game than last week. But Ohio State's got more talent. Ohio State just has the more talented team than Michigan. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely they do. You got two of the best wide receivers in the country in Wilson and Olave. You have three of the best running backs, Teague, Williams, and Henderson back there, and then C.J. Stroud, the freshman. He still has a couple more years left. So, yeah, that offense, there's so many pieces, and most of those guys are so young. And I think, they're probably going to lose both Wilson and Olave to the draft. But, again, they have Marvin Harrison's kids was a 4-star. He's been playing some mop dude. He'll probably be one of their top wide receivers next year. He's played well, in his mop. So, Ohio State's always going to have guys to kind of fill those voids that they lose. So, yeah, this offense, this is, if they do face Georgia, it's going to be I'm hoping for Ohio State, Georgia in the national championship game because that offense versus, Georgia's defense is going to be so fun to watch.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah, we'll see about that. We'll see if we get that in the coming weeks. But we got another huge rivalry game, another playoff game, in my opinion. As you got number 7, you got number 10 Oklahoma heading to Stillwater to face number 7 Oklahoma State, and I think this is another close competitive game between these two teams. But I think it's actually going to be. It's weird for the Big 12 because Oklahoma State's defense is really good. They got the best defense, obviously, in the Big 12. So this is going to be a close competitive game. But this might surprise you. I'm going to go with the team with the better coach and more experience. I'm going to go with the Sooners. And I think we get a rematch. At AT&T Stadium next week. I'm going with the Sooners. I'm going with Oklahoma to go in Oklahoma State and pull the upset, and in my opinion, keep their college football playoff hopes alive. I think it's a really close game, but I think they pull the upset. But, Justin, can Mike Gundy end the Oklahoma Sooners season in Stillwater on Saturday night?
I think they do. I think Oklahoma's too broken. I got the Cowboys 27-17. Wow. Hector.
No.
I assume that's who.
I think he might be mean. I think he might be doing that meeting Oklahoma. I don't know what he means, Oklahoma or Oklahoma State, but I think he means it for Oklahoma.
I think so too. He does because he wants Oklahoma State because then Baylor. If Baylor wins,
we'll get to that game. Yes, we'll get to that game. Yeah, we're gonna get to that game next.
So that's why. So he's a big Cowboys fan this weekend. So I just think Oklahoma could. They ran the ball. They had over 200 rushing yards, but their both quarterbacks last week struggled again to throw the football. And Jim Knowles, the defensive coordinator, is up for the Browse Award for the best offensive or best assistant coach in the country. I don't think there's any chance he does not win that award. His defense has been unbelievable. They've given up one defensive touchdown in the last 4 games in the Big 12, which is impressive. I don't see Oklahoma just looks so broken offensively. I don't know how you could fix it against this Cowboy team, even though I know Mike Gundy is 2-16 versus the Cowboys or against the Sooners. But this is a different Oklahoma team. This is not the Oklahoma team we're used to seeing. And I think Oklahoma State's defense is just too good for him. I'm going with the Cowboys to win by 2 scores. I know it's risky, and he's kind of been, it's been tough for Gundy to win this series, but I can't pick Oklahoma right now. They're just not a very good offensive football team right now.
You say their offense is broken, but I would take Caleb Williams over Sanders. I would take Caleb Williams over Sanders.
Oh, I absolutely would too. Sanders is horrific. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's confidence. I think
you probably think that Oklahoma State is at home and they have the better defense, and that's what you're probably thinking. That's probably going to be the difference.
Yeah, that is. I don't think Sanders is gonna. I think Sanders plays well enough. I don't think Caleb Williams or if it's Rattler, I don't think they play well enough. I think some of it is, I don't know if it's play calling. I think they've been getting a running game going. It seemed like for a few weeks Oklahoma kind of fixed everything, and now it's back to what it was. I don't really know what the issue is. It's odd because I think they have the weapons, they have the running backs. Their offensive line's been playing better. They just can't put it together. Part of me thinks it's a confidence thing after Williams struggled against Baylor. That's I think part of it. And Rattler, I think, is probably coming in trying to do too much, and that hasn't really worked either. But yeah, I would take either one of them. I'd probably even take Rattler over Spencer Sanders as well.
Yeah, we'll see though. It should be a close competitive game. You like the Cowboys, I like the Sooners. Should be very interesting Saturday night in Stillwater. But we got to move on to Hector's team. That's the Baylor Bears, who are trying to get a spot in the Big 12 championship game. And if they beat Texas Tech and Oklahoma State beats Oklahoma, they get that spot in the the championship game as Texas Tech faces Baylor. And I think Baylor wins this game. They win it by a couple scores, and they're watching Saturday night, being big Oklahoma State fans.
Yeah, absolutely. I got the Baylor Bears doubling up the Red Raiders 34-17. I think the Baylor Bears run all over them. Texas Tech's rush defense is horrific. They're one of the worst in the country. I think Baylor does whatever they want. I think Gary Boheen makes enough plays when he does have to make a play through the air. When they do pass the ball, he does enough. Texas Tech is on their third street quarterback. Actually, Hector Tommy, they're undefeated at home as well. I think that's another huge factor in this game. Seems like a great home crowd. Hopefully Dave Aranda stays because it's everybody's built. When Matt Rule built there and he left, and then now Dave Aranda. Now it sounds like LSU's probably pounding at the door for him. So hopefully Dave Aranda is able. He's able to stick around here and build something. Especially, they could be the new class of the Big 12 when Oklahoma, Texas leave. They could be kind of the class of the set at the football level. So even basketball as well, they're going to be right there. So they built a couple of really good programs. Baylor, I think they take care of business, and I think they go to the Big 12 championship game next weekend.
Oh yeah, you got Oklahoma State Baylor. I got Oklahoma State Oklahoma. But we'll talk about the number one team in the country as they play their. I know we wouldn't talk about this if it wasn't a rivalry game, but they play their rival Georgia Tech. I think it's a blowout. I think they win it by 5. They win it by 30 or 40 points. Georgia Tech's absolutely terrible, and right now, obviously, Georgia is the best team in the country.
Yeah, I got Georgia 38-3. Georgia Tech last week lost 55-0 Notre Dame. They can't throw the football either. Georgia Tech, that's the thing. They're kind of a more run-heavy team. Kind of run some spread option stuff. That ain't really going to work against this Georgia front 7 linebacker. How good this defense is. That ain't working against this team. So I don't see Georgia Tech move the ball at all. I think Georgia blows them out. They do whatever they want, and they get ready to go to Atlanta next week.
We got an interesting game in the ACC. Wake Forest is trying to punch their ticket to the ACC championship game. They head to Boston College to play BC, who is right now bowl eligible. So we got Wake and BC, but I think Sam Hartman plays really well, and I think Wake gets to the ACC title game to play Pittsburgh next week. I think Wake beats BC close. Yeah,
I think Wake finds a way to win this one. On the road at Chestnut Hill. BC's bowl eligible. Their quarterback came back, Phil Jakovic, a couple weeks ago, but I don't. I can't see Wake Forest losing this game. I know last week they got steamrolled up in Clemson, but again, Clemson's starting to play a lot better recently the last few weeks. So Clemson's starting to kind of return to some state of normalcy. But yeah, I think with the division on the line, I think Wake Forest does enough. I think Sam Hartman plays well in this game. I think he spreads the ball around. BC's offense is all right. It's been better with Jakovic back, but still it's not really enough in this game. It won't be enough to knock off Sam Hartman in the Demon Deacons.
We got the Iron Bowl this week. We see Bo Nix. I was reading somehow he was criticizing the officiating in the SEC or something.
I was gonna bring that up.
Yeah. Yep. Is he out? Bo Nix?
He broke his ankle. He's done.
Oh, he's done. Okay, so he's out. So that's why I think Alabama wins this game, and I think they're obviously going to play. They're going to play Georgia next week, but I think they keep their college football playoff hopes alive. I think they win this game by 30 points. I think they win this game by 3 or 4 by 4 or 5 scores. I got Alabama big in the Iron Bowl over Auburn.
I had Bama 34-17. Yes, he was making comments of how Alabama gets a call from officiating in close games in big games. So that's probably the last thing you want to say against Alabama, because they even probably brought up the Bryce Young, and he kind of was like, well, you can kind of say what he wants there, but it's just more motivate. It's just more fuel to the fire that you don't want to give Bama. Auburn's won the last 2 at home. If Bo Nix played, I think Auburn had a very good shot to win this game, because right now Alabama really struggling defensively against the pass. TJ Finley's the LSU transfer starting for Auburn. They played okay against South Carolina last week. They moved the ball pretty well. They didn't really turn it over. They just were not able to get many points. So I I have Alabama wins the game 34-17. I think it'll be tough. I think Alabama played much better defensively this week. I think Bryce Young does whatever he wants. Auburn secondary at times looks pretty good, and at other times it doesn't look great. I think this week they're going to struggle. Bryce Young absolutely torched Arkansas through the air last week. I think he plays another good game this week on the road down the Plains.
Yes, we got a Big 12 matchup in Corvallis as Oregon faces, or it's in Eugene. The game's in Eugene. It looks like.
Yeah,
Eugene says it in Eugene. It's in Eugene as Oregon faces Oregon State, and correct me, Jason, Justin. Oregon State has a chance to go to the Pac-12 championship game if they win, right? If they win, because they have 3 losses and Oregon has 2, so if they beat them, they would have a chance to get in. But I think there's another team that's right with them.
Yes, it's Washington State. So I believe Jason backed me up on this, but I believe so. If Oregon wins, they're in automatically. If Oregon State wins and Washington beats Washington State, then Oregon State's in.
Okay, gotcha. And then if Washington State wins, and it's a 3-way tie, but Oregon would probably get in, right?
Yeah, so it'd be a 3-way tie, and Oregon would get in. The 2-way tie, Oregon would get in. And then because Washington State can get in if they win. And no, actually, I think Washington State's eliminated.
They're probably eliminated. It's probably what I'm guessing is if Oregon wins, they're in, and then Oregon State would need Washington State to lose, and then they would have to win. So that's probably how it goes. And then if Washington State wins and Oregon State wins, Oregon gets in. It says it really doesn't matter. Oregon is going to win. I think
they will too, but
and listen, I think they're going to win too. I think they're going to win it by 2 scores, and they're going to bounce back. Justin, does Oregon State have any chance to pull the upset?
No, Jamar Jefferson last year, though, ran for 226 rushing yards against them and torched them, and Utah did whatever they want up at the line of scrimmage last week against them, but it's a revenge game for the Ducks that kind of ruined them last year. Their hopes last year. I think the Ducks bounce back. The Beavers have really struggled on the road. They're 1-4. I think the Ducks win this game 34-24. I think they bounce back, and they do end up going to the Pac-12 championship game next week, and probably will have a rematch with Utah next week. Or actually, definitely will, because Utah did clinch last week.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see Oregon and Utah. I know it won't matter for the college football playoff, but it'll be interesting to see them have that rematch next week.
In Rose Bowl. We'll go for the Rose Bowl.
Yeah, for the Rose Bowl. I mean, it's not as big as it used to be, but still has some significance to it. It'll probably be the Rose Bowl will probably be the loser of the Michigan-Ohio State game, and then the winner of the Pac-12 championship game. That'll probably be what the Rose Bowl is this year.
Yeah, no, you're probably right. Yeah, that's probably what it's going to be. Yeah, I don't think Michigan State – I think even with a loss, Michigan's not going behind Michigan State. So, yeah, absolutely. It's probably, probably loser this week's game up in Ann Arbor, and whoever wins the Pac-12 next week.
Gotcha. Big game, pretty sneaky big game in the Big Ten as Wisconsin travels to Minnesota for Paul Bunyan's Axe this week, and I think they're probably still. There's a chance they could wind up in a 3-way tie, right? Iowa could have 3 losses, Wisconsin could have 3 losses, and Minnesota could have 3 losses. But one thing we do know is if Wisconsin wins, they are the champion of the Big Ten West. So, and I do think they win this game. I think they run the ball. They've been playing really well recently. They run the ball. They get pressure on Tanner Morgan, force him to make mistakes. I got Wisconsin by 2 scores.
Yeah, I got Wisconsin win this game. I need to be close with both defenses, but I got the Badgers 21-17. Tanner Morgan's played better last 2 weeks. He's taking care of the football. He's got to do that this week. Big news out of the Gophers too today. Mohamed Ibrahim, the running back who got hurt opening week, did announce he'll be back next year up in Minnesota. So big news for the Gophers. They have him back in the backfield next year healthy. But I still think Wisconsin wins this game. Brandon Allen, since being named starting running back, is just a beast. He's the next Jonathan Taylor, Monty Ball, Melvin Gordon, great Wisconsin running back. He's going to punch his name in there. Eventually, he's been great. I think the last 4 or 5 weeks, he's been over 100 yards. So I got the Badgers in this one this week, or this Saturday for the Paul Bunyan Axe, and the Badgers probably get a shot to face probably going to be Ohio State next weekend up in Indianapolis.
Gotcha. And so we'll talk about the other Big Ten game on Friday. And Iowa will have to win to have a chance to play, Wisconsin in that game. To have a chance, and then they would need Wisconsin to lose to win the Big Ten East. And on Friday, I think this is a close competitive game between these two teams. But but Scott Frost has lost these games all year. I think it's a close game that Scott Frost loses. That's why I got Iowa winning again.
Yeah, I got Iowa 23-10. If Adrian Martinez was going to play, I'd skitishly probably take Nebraska. Nebraska's probably the best 3-8 team in the country. Their point differential, they're plus 70 in scoring margin this year. Plus 70, and they're 3-8. I think that tells you a lot. Nebraska just cannot find ways to win games. They find a way to lose games. So when Martinez out, it's going to be Logan Smothers. He's expected going to be his first start. And having your first start go against a very talented Iowa defense, I think he's going to struggle. Iowa's forced 26 turnovers this year. I think they forced a couple in this game. I think Nebraska has a tough time moving the football in this game. I got the Hawkeyes win this game 23-10. I think they get 3-4 turnovers, and they do whatever they want off of turnovers.
Last game of another Friday game. It's the 3:30 game. Cincinnati going to ECU. I think Cincinnati stays in the top four and wins this game big.
Yeah, I get Cincinnati winning by 2 scores, 34-20. Holden Eller's the big arm quarterback for ECU. They can move the football. This is an offense that can move the football. They've turned the ball over 20 times though, and Cincinnati's forced the most turnovers in the country with 29. ECU's really struggled against the run, and I think Jeremiah Ford's gonna have a big day on the ground. I think ECU keeps us close because they can move the ball, but defensively, I don't think they're going to be able to hang with the Bearcats. And big news too, it sounds like reportedly from reading a couple of sources that Luke Fickell has notified his recruits that he's going to be staying in Cincinnati, and he'll be the coach next year. I know his kids.
Big. That's huge.
Yeah, I know his kids committed to play Cincinnati next year as well, so I bet that's a big part. But yeah, so it really sounds, all signs kind of point right now that Luke Fickell will be around. So yeah, big news here for the Bearcats. So, and I think they follow that up with a big one.
Yeah, that's huge. So we had a big night in college basketball last night. Obviously, Dickie V was back behind the mic. Great moment there. And we'll talk about that next, and the big matchup in college basketball next. But before that, we got a promo from Clovercrest Media.
So, Jess, why did you become a realtor?
I worked in various customer service jobs, so I wanted something a little bit more rewarding. Becoming a real estate agent, being able to help people find their forever homes or their investment homes, starter homes. It's very exciting, so a lot of fun.
Now, you've gotten off to a really good start in your real estate career. What has been the most rewarding part of this for you so far?
Helping people, especially like first-time home buyers, finding their first home. They're so excited. I'm so excited to help them. So it's a nice, rewarding part.
What is it that you think makes you different than other real estate agents?
I think that my various roles in customer service has helped me. So I like to ask a lot of questions and I want to know what I'm doing. So I think that helps a lot because I'm not going to steer people the wrong way. I'm going to make sure they have knowledgeable decisions and help them find the right home.
Last thing I'm going to ask you is, and I know these are words that you live by, but the mantra at CTBB Realty is?
People over paychecks and do the damn thing.
And that's what we do.
Attention all basketball fans. CMG Sports presents the Posting Up Podcast, where Lucas Boldick, Sean Scanlon, and King Zay discuss the latest news and topics throughout the NBA. So, if you have a love for basketball, make sure you check out the Posting Up Podcast, live every Tuesday and Saturday on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Also available for download on every podcast platform.
We had a big night in college basketball last night. Before we get to the games, though, we got to get to that moment with Dickie V before the game with Dave O'Brien. He was in tears. I mean, it's amazing. He was back, calling a game last night, in tears before that game. It's amazing to see Dickie V back. I mean, he's a legend. There's no person, in my opinion, that has more passion for college basketball than Dickie V. So great moment for Dickie V. It's a great moment for Dickie V right there.
Yeah, absolutely. You don't have college basketball without Dickie V there, being on the sidelines calling the game. He's done all the big games since he's been at ESPN since like 1980s. Like, he's been there forever. So he's done all the big games, and yeah, you don't have college basketball without him. It was a very emotional moment. I know. He really happy to be there, obviously, to be able to call that game. The great fan, yeah, you summed it up. There's not one person out there that loves college basketball more than DEV does.
Absolutely, absolutely. So we had a big game last night, the number 1 team against the number 2 team, and it wasn't much of a game as Gonzaga crushed UCLA 83-63. And the big question is Gonzaga by far the best team in the country at this point in the season?
I think they are. We'll find out again. They play Duke Friday night, so we'll get another good test of them. I think the only thing the Zags miss this year is that they don't have a guard. The only thing they're really missing is that guard, like a Jalen Suggs. But like their other guards that they have right now are, they're still pretty good guard. Ibrahim has played well. Bolton's been good. So like they again, and with Chet Holmgren with his size at 7 foot, again, I think he's gonna be the next Jokic type. 7 foot ball handler.
Imagine if he gets some muscle. Some muscle. He's gonna be phenomenal. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think he will. Maybe not by the end of this year, by the time he enters the league, but I think he will at some point. I think he's going to put on some muscle. Obviously, you got Drew Timme. I just think down low, there's not too many teams that are going to be able to stop him again. Even if Cody Riley even played last night for UCLA, it may have been a little bit closer, but it wouldn't be that. I don't think UCLA still would have won that game. But yeah, Neighborhood's been good. I just think they do miss that Jalen Suggs at the top 5 kind of guard, but I think right now they've blown out Texas as well. So I think right now Gonzaga is right now clearly the number 1 team in the country.
And UCLA, are they overrated? Should they be the second, the number 2 team in the country? Because I know they a lot of guys are back. I mean, that Tyler Campbell guy's back. Josie Juzang, he's back. Jules Bernard. They have a lot of guys back, but should they be the number 2 team in the country right now?
No, I thought they were overrated the minute the rankings came out. I saw their second. I think they're a fringe top 10. Fringe. I know. And
they did beat Villanova, but they did beat them at home, right?
Yeah, and Nova was Nova was up 10, and then with 5 minutes left, Mick Cronin figured out, oh wow, they have no post presence, and they started just taking it to the hole against Nova because Eric Dickerson's out. Dickens is out there at 6'8", and he couldn't really contest a shot and down low. So they were down 10 with 5 minutes left, and they won on OT. And then they forced Nova to start driving as well. There was a bunch of blocks. UCLA contested a bunch of shots in that game as well. So yeah, they won that game, but they were getting not dominated, but they were about trailing most of that game. But yeah, UCLA, I think Cody Riley makes them better for that down low post presence, but UCLA, I thought they were fringe top 10 again because it's where are they ranked if they lost in the first 4? I think that's the big thing. Where would they be? They would not be number 2 in the country because they got hot. Now last week they had some open looks, they just didn't fall, but I do think the team was a little bit overrated. It's a team that, again, it was a first 4 team last year. They just got hot in a couple weeks of March and they took off and ran with it. It's a good team, but I don't think they're the second best team in the country.
We know they're playing right now, and I know you're probably watching right now. We know they're at the Battle of Atlantis. Obviously, UConn started 4-0, but really didn't play anyone. This is the first real team they're playing, Auburn right now. And I know the game has started, but what's your thoughts about this game against Auburn? What does UConn have to do to beat this? I know Auburn's number 19 in the country, but what does UConn have to do to beat this Auburn team today?
Well, they need to start turning the ball over because they already have 6 turnovers 7 minutes in. Very sloppy. Martin just left the game. Looked like with a wrist injury. Hopefully he can come back. But
is it still 9-6?
12-6.
12-6. Okay.
Yeah. Sinai goes 3 for 4. He's the only guy that's really taken a shot in this game so far. I thought they matched up well with Auburn because Auburn's a team. They're gonna, they wanted to play fast too. Good offensive or good defensive team. They've really struggled to score because their best player, Adrian Flanagan's hurt probably to the end of December. He'll probably be back right around conference play. He's a good lefty guard at 6'6" that averaged 14 points a game. He's pretty good. I think UConn can match up well. I think Sinago's to be able to dominate wide Walker Kessler in this game, the North Carolina transfer, because he's really struggled. And he's not physically built like Sanago is, so I hope they continue to get the ball to him. But like I really thought UConn was coming in here being the better team, but right now I do not like what I've seen so far. Just sloppy.
So how do you think UConn's going to do in this tournament? Because there's a lot of good teams. I mean, your boy got beat today. Porter Moser got beat by Michigan State close.
No, he's gone. He's at OU now.
You got sorry, my bad. But your Loyola team got beat, by
Tough
2.
one.
Tough one for them. And then you look at this tournament. They got Michigan State. Obviously Michigan State won that game, but you got Syracuse, and they got the defending champions Baylor in this tournament. How do you feel like UConn's going to do in this tournament? Because I think for me, this is going to be a good measuring stick to see where they're at right now.
Yeah, it is. And I think coming in, I thought they were the second best team coming to this tournament. I think they are a little bit better than Auburn. Right now, they're not playing like it, but if they can overcome it, I think they are the second best team coming to this tournament. Loyola was actually coached by Drew Valentine, the former or the brother of Denzel Valentine. So he's like 32. He's young. He's probably one of the youngest head coaches in history. But in this game, like I think Baylor's only team that's really better than them in this. Baylor not as good as that, but like they still have Adam Flagger who's going to come back from injury. James Akuno, former UConn commits, played really. He's averaging like 10-8 in this turn, so far early on this year. Like I think Baylor is really the only team that. Obviously, every team that's good, it's good. I think VCU is really the only exception. They've lost 2 of their top 3 scorers already hurt. They ranked 357 points per game so far, only behind IUPUI so far. And Wendell Green just hit a shot from the half court. He's got 11 points. Oh yeah, it's a heat check, 21-10.
Wow,
this is ugly.
Not good. Yeah.
No, it's all. Auburn did not shoot the ball because I saw them play South Florida the other night. They struggled to score the ball at South Florida. They got 58 points. They could not shoot. They were down 10. In the second half, they were able to come back with a bit, they kind of forced some turnovers. So I didn't really like what I saw from Auburn the other night, but they look a lot better. They're shooting the ball. They really have they struggled in South Florida. They're the only real okay team they faced. But I guess kind of taught me a little bit. The other teams, like I think, Baylor's right now was the only kind of really other team that I thought really has a good shot to beat them. Syracuse with that zone really showed the other night against Colgate. They gave up 100 points. It started when the guys got the ball up top. It's like a 4-1 now. Like he brings the 2 wing guys up top to try to even set that to make sure you don't get beat by the 3, but really didn't work. So I thought UConn was the second best team coming in this tournament, but it does not look good at all. And, at the moment, Sanago's got all 10 points and, it just seems sloppy of what I've seen so far. It just doesn't. It like Saturday. Saturday they were sloppy. Their defense was not good. Binghamton kind of beat some guys off the dribble on Saturday afternoon, and it didn't look good. So I'm kind of seeing that performance in Auburn right now. It's kind of taking advantage of it because they're lighting it up right now.
Yeah, it's looking like it. So we got the Maui final tonight, and that's between Wisconsin and St. Mary's. Wisconsin upset Houston last night, and yet St. Mary's beat Oregon. What are we going to expect in the Maui final, and who do you think wins it?
I'm actually going with St. Mary's. I'm with the upset here. I like St. Mary's. The West Coast Conference this year, Gonzaga's undefeated, so St. Mary's undefeated, so BYU looks phenomenal. Santa Clara's undefeated, and they already have a couple nights. Like the West Coast this year I think they're definitely going to be at least 3 bid league this year. San Francisco and Santa Clara look like they're probably not going to make a tournament, but they may give some teams a run for their money. They played 2 years ago. Wisconsin and St. Mary's opened up the year. It was like 65-63 in OT. I'd be shocked if both teams get to 60 points tonight. It's a low possession game. Both teams don't really turn the ball over, but I think like live ball turnovers would be huge. Who can get those, those odd man kind of, 3-on-2 kind of breaks here. I think those are going to be huge in this game. Johnny Davis has been huge for the Badgers. Back-to-back career highs. He had 21 on Monday night, then 30 yesterday against the Cougars. So I think it's going to be a very low-scoring game. Both teams are very good defensively, and I think that both teams have really struggled to shoot. Like Wisconsin, I believe, shooting like less than 30% from 3. Like it's if you like defensive battles and games that probably you like tight, every basket's going to be contested. It's a game for you. If you like to watch the high scoring, high-flying offense, this is going to be a very boring affair for you. So it should definitely be a close one because of the way the two teams play. But I'm going to take St. Mary's. I think the whole, as a West Coast conference right now, I think it's going to be a very solid conference this year. So I'll take, and I think the Big Ten as well is overrated as usual. So I'll take the Gales. I think they're a little bit better than the Badgers.
It should be interesting. Should be a good feast week. A lot of good tournaments going on. You got Duke playing Gonzaga too, so it should be a very, very interesting weekend of college basketball. That's going to wrap it up this week on Sports Talk with R&J. For our producer, Jace Garcia, and for Justin D'Onofrio, I'm Steve Risser. We'll be back next week talking about championship week in college football and week 13 of the NFL season. Have a great Thanksgiving, everyone.
Jones on first down, wide open, it's Barkley. And Saquon Barkley will take it into the end zone.
Your best ability is his availability. Saquon Barkley, he's great when he's on the field, but the problem is since 2018, he hasn't been healthy for this team.
Look at this. They lob it to him. He taps it in off the glass. How about that?
Porter Moser, I think right now is the best coach of college basketball, hands down.
Fins 2 for 3. He's done his part. Pitch is drilled to deep right field toward the pole, and it is gone.
They don't mind not being what they were in the 90s as the best organization in baseball, because the Yankees aren't even close to the best organization in baseball.
You're trying to be the Rays, and the Rays do this for a reason. Like, you're the Yankees.
Hello, my name is Joe Aguirre. I'm the president of Clovercrest Media Group. And here at CMG, we have a wide variety of podcasts, including sports shows like Keys to the City, The Roll Call, Throwing Jabs, All Four Downs, and Jawing About the G-Men. And great true crime shows like Sticky Week, Crimes and Consequences, Ivy League Murders, and Bird, the unsolved murder of David Eichmann. You can find all these podcasts and so